Well, everybody, we are back. Marvel Studios has officially released the final trailer to the Eternals. So, of course, as always, I am Armin, and I am joined by Mitch.
What's up? You can follow me on Twitter at Mitch692, unless you don't want to see someone complain about something. But then...
Well, maybe they'll hear it in this. Oh, actually, I assume they will, because instead of a full-on breakdown, because we did one where we go over all the characters and everything, we're just going to do like a general big discussion in regards to the final trailer here and what's shown and everything that's going on. So, where do we want to start? Do we want to start about, actually, let's just start on the Chloe Zhao effect here, because through and through, you can tell this is her signature look. Like it carries
this looks like Nomadland.
It does, yeah. Yep.
100%. It's like, yep, cool, that's close out. Yep. No, that's a problem. I know Nomadland looked fantastic, and this looks no different. There's just a bit more CGI in it.
Yeah, this again, massive change from the last trailer we got, where, like you said, this has all the CG and everything, and what I like is this time we get the wide scope shots, like super wide almost. We really get a grandiose scale and sense of the size and scope of the film, because again, it is ranging literally like 10,000 years worth of history. Like they even mentioned, 7,000 years ago, the Earth. It's like, yeah, we're going to that whole thing they promised with the whole ancient aliens thing, which I'm really a big fan of that direction. So
it feels like it's not long enough. Like that. I don't know why. I'm like, 7,000 years isn't that long.
No.
It's like, how long have people been around? I'm not entirely sure.
No, it's not that long, considering if you go back through history, right? Like, the thing that always blows people's minds when I tell them this fact, it's like, we live closer to Cleopatra than Cleopatra lived to the creation of the pyramids. It's like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
like, so,
it's weird.
In that sense, I agree with you. I'm like, 7,000 years seems like not that long ago, all things considered. Like, we still have literal written history of everything that happened during some of those times in specific locations. So I'll agree with you there, but it makes me think that there's obviously more that's involved with the early, like Byzantine and the spread of agriculture and culture itself and the first writing and everything. And we kind of get the sense of that. There's like a scene in the trailer where we see like constellations and then the fireworks happen, and where I'm like, oh, I see what they're doing here. They're passing down the knowledge of the stars to the first civilization. Like, I really like that approach.
It just feels like it's too early to do the whole like influencing like really early man and like making they've obviously made it so it's like the Eternals aren't people.
Mm-hmm.
They've clearly made them aliens in this, like coming from space.
Yeah,
they might have done something different, I'm not sure, but the whole point was the Celestials come down. They see humanity or like early man, and you have like, right, well, we're going to make the Deviants, we're going to make the like a small faction of Eternals, and we're going to give the rest the X gene.
Mm-hmm.
Like this feels way 7,000 years is way too early for that.
Yeah.
Which supposed to be like at the dawn, not like when we kind of established at some point.
And I honestly think that they're doing this for a specific reason, just so. Again,
they want to get away from the whole creationism angle.
Yeah.
Is what it feels like.
That's exactly what I'm coming at, like the same conclusion. And I don't want to like say this as an insult, but it feels like they're trying to simplify it for the basic Joe Popcorn that's going to be watching this. Be like, oh, the pyramids. Yeah, I understand that. Even though they don't understand the scope of the years, like the everyday person can just go, oh, okay, because the further back in time you go, the more complex and the harder it is for people to grasp the idea of how far ago this is. So if you kind of ground it in that whole more modern existence that we can kind of trace it back to, it works. And like you said, it's like, if they're going to establish the X gene here, which they definitely are, and again, the deviants and all that.
I'd assume so.
Yeah, it is in this weird position where it does work, but also, from a comic book angle, you're like, man, 7,000 years in Marvel Comics, that's like yesterday, It's like... Yeah, so...
It's like, it's weird, because it's only been a couple of weeks ago. It kind of like... I don't know why I got into the conversation of it with someone, but I was like, Yeah, we're less than 100 years out from World War II.
Yeah.
And it's like every now and then it's like you just get hit by the fact that like how close stuff like that actually was, but it feels so far away. So I think it's like one of those, but
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you there. Now, looking back at this trailer again, it's heavily featured on more action because it's got to, sell the
yeah.
It's got to sell it to everybody. Do we get the most obvious thing out of the way and just go straight into the comparison? Because people will not shut up about this already.
Which comparison? What, for Superman?
Superman is the same as the Man of Steel fighting. They ripped off Zack Snyder. Guys, it's a superhero flying. Come on. Like,
yeah.
And, like, yeah, he shoots out of his eyes, Yeah, that's what the character does.
His eye lasers. Like, are the Eternals somewhat based on Superman? Probably, or at least Icarus. Probably.
Yeah, of course.
It's literally sorry that Superman was the default power set for superheroes.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, to that extent, the reason Shazam or Captain Marvel at the time was buried by DC Comics was he was outselling Superman so much they just bought the company and buried the character. So there's a lot of similarities with a lot of modern heroes. And again, one could argue in the Marvel universe, Superman would be based on the legend of Icarus because, hey, the ancient gods and all that. And Superman is an amalgamation of all of their power. So, you can kind of go, okay, I see what they're doing. Again, whatever. He flies, he shoots lasers. Who cares? He looks great. I think in this trailer specifically, showing off more of their powers and individuality really works for this angle, being like, oh, this is what it is. Because the last trailer kind of confused a lot of people. They're like, what do? Stand around all the time?
I'll say they've really they've kind of held back on showing what exactly it is they do. We had that one half a second, if that, of Makari running, but she was more stopping running. We've seen a little bit of Athena. They did it again in this trailer. We never really saw what Icarus could do, but now we kind of have. We've seen a bit of what Cersei can do because she turns that London bus into rose petals or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic shot. I love that.
Which, again, her and the previous trailer established that maybe she's the one that's going to pass down the knowledge of how agriculture and everything works to humanity and, growing. And it's like, there's definitely some of these elements here of what they're trying to push with the whole aspect of it. Now, I know you were talking about this in the group, so I'll let you have your piece now. So, say what you will. Okay, well, where do you want to start with the problems?
It's purely the Celestials. That's it.
So
it's purely I can live with the Eternals looking all relatively similar. You can at least tell the difference because they've obviously got more distinguished features.
Yeah,
they've absolutely gone in the opposite direction with the Celestials. No, you can tell that because everyone's calling the red one. I'm not going to say the name straight away because I know it's to prove a point. Like the red one in this. People have been saying it's Eson the Searcher, which fair enough. There's 6 eyes on a celestial head. That's Eson's look.
Right?
Yeah. Obviously we had Eson in Guardians 1, so people know that name. And then you see what everyone assumes, and I'm in agreement with it. Is I think it's Jeremiah, the green one, who's playing about what looks like the galaxies. They, apart from the color, they're indistinguishable.
Yep.
There's no difference to them whatsoever. And it's like, that red one's not Eson. That red one's Arisham. Arisham doesn't look like any of them. It looks totally different. They're supposed to have all this individuality. You go back to the concept art we got from, what was it, D23?
Yeah, it's been 3 years now almost?
Something like that,
been a
yeah.
while.
Like, do they look like Kirby in that concept art? Not particularly. Have they got elements of Kirby? Yes. You can tell who's who in that concept art. It's really obvious. That Celestial there does not look like the red one here, and they're the same one. It's not Eson, it is Arisham the Judge. The only way you can tell that is a tiny little flick on the side of his head, and it's like Arisham has this weird antenna thing on the side of his head. Where is it? Why has he got 6 individual eyes? Why aren't they the lines?
Right,
Like
and
you had the lines in this concept art. Like what's happened? Like why
and
they look the same?
I agree with all of that. And what kind of irks me a little bit more is we talked about this before. If you go back to Thor Ragnarok, remember all those like standing guards that are there and they're
Yeah,
clearly
yeah.
100% Kirby? You're like,
Mm.
boy, those look like some of those Celestials you see. It's like,
It's because they are.
yeah,
They straight up took the celestial helmets for
it,
those guards.
exactly. So I'm like, I have the same complaint in regards to the Celestials. They look too uniform to me. I think that's the
Yeah,
best
yeah,
way I can
yeah.
describe, the best word I can use. It's like, why here? Why the most out there thing that influences all of creation and all that? Why are they so basic? And I know
Mm.
here's the irony. We're going to get called haters in the comments. We're going to just
Oh well, I've
haters.
already been told I'm wrong on Twitter. It's like no, they look different. It's just like because one's red and one's green.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like they look the same,
Yeah.
and it's for a movie where Feige literally came out on stage and we're going full Jack Kirby. It's like you kind of didn't.
Yeah.
Kirby didn't make any of these things look the same. They look wildly different from each other. Wildly different, and there's T-shirts with the red one with the name Arisham on it, so I know for a fact it's Arisham.
Mm-hmm.
It took me 10 minutes to Google that, but I found it, and it's like, I'm not happy with that in the slightest.
Yeah, it almost has the and this isn't a giant insult at it, but well, it is at Michael Bay when they first produced the first like two Transformers movies.
Yeah,
Okay,
they look like bugs in those movies,
and occasionally the merchandise would screw it up. Like I had an action figure that was like, oh, this is Ironhide. I'm like, actually, this is Barricade because it's the cop car or whatever. Like they didn't know. They were just mislabeling them because they all kind of were uniform and basic, lifeless. And I get it. Maybe, in the final version are going to look a lot better and more like variety.
I mean, this is
to
the final version. They're not going to change.
That's true. Yeah.
This is it. Like,
locked
it's
in.
locked in now. It's way too late. No.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really like my only big, I guess.
It's like,
complaint.
was I expecting the concept art from 3 years ago? No.
Yeah.
They only ever show you a look. Usually what they show you in concept art is relatively close to what you get. Are there some slight changes? Yes. This drastically? No. I've never seen them do it this drastic before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like, yes, I know someone's going to pull it up. The Arisham at one point has had 6 eyes, but not like that. All the eyes are identical. The head shapes are identical, which shouldn't be the case. And it's just like, I know you've only seen 2 and there's more than 2 of them, but it's like they look the same.
Yeah, and I mean, we still don't know what they're really hiding in this because there's got to be plenty that they are hiding. So there's a lot of, I guess, questions on which direction they're really going in with this entire concept because there's a lot of stuff that happens in this trailer that's like, boy, this is really not what I expected to, for better or for worse. I don't know. Like, it's still one of my most anticipated films, but
I'm people mistake the you don't like this for not liking the entire thing. It's like, no, shut up. Like, learn a bit of nuance, please.
Yeah.
Like, I can have a complaint about the Celestials, but still think the movie looks great.
Yeah, I think there's a problem now with all the communities where either it's you have to love it or you hate it. If you're in the middle on something, you're suddenly the bigger hater than both of them or a bigger fanboy. It's like, And I think there's something to be said about this trailer that everybody is really talking about it and buzzed about it. And, when you see the Celestial there, we see like the creations happening, which is really cool. But then at the same time, we get only a brief look at the Deviants and whatever the name of the main one is.
Crow.
Is it just Crow? Is that how we're going to pronounce it? All right.
It's KRO.
Yeah.
If you can find any other way to pronounce that, then be my guest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so.
Crow.
What's your take on that? What do you?
I mean, he looks wildly different. The
Yeah.
Deviants don't look like the Deviants in the slightest, but at the same time, like, they're the Deviants. Like, they just look like generic weird little monster men, and Crow was just a pig dude with horns. Like, I get why you changed it. I think they might be slightly busy in the design in this. So, we haven't had a real proper look at it, but like, I'm wondering if Crow is going to be used for like symbiote stuff because he looks very symbiotic.
Yeah, he does. He really does.
Really... The interesting part for me is that it's him and Thena. Like, him and Thena have a relationship, for a lack of a better word,
Mm-hmm.
in the comics, and it's him talking to her. So I don't know if they're going to go down that route. It might do from the look of things, but
Yeah, it's
and like we've only seen him like toy leaks and stuff like that, and he didn't look great in toys, but toys never look great
I was gonna
unless
say
they're like the
toys
hot
are such a
toys.
terrible representation. It's
Yeah,
like, yeah.
like Marvel Legends stuff, I never take any cue from that because old concept art and they just look like trash anyway. But like, from what we've seen of Crow, he looks cool. It's a cool design. Now, if you're gonna change the Deviants to be anything, at least they look visually interesting. Maybe slightly too busy, but they look visually interesting.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say something to maybe it's gonna cause some problems with people. I expect the villains in this film to just be there to service the rest of the story. I expect they're gonna be like the thing that everybody comes out of this film and going, Marvel has a villain problem. You know, the same thing they've been saying
I don't
since
want to hear anyone moan about Crow being a good villain or a bad villain ever. Like,
Mitch. All the Crow
no
fans
one
are about
heard
to come
about
out of
this
the
guy.
woodworks, being like, "We've just like all the Taskmaster fans. Suddenly, he's the greatest thing nobody
Yeah.
ever talked about."
But at least people who knew of Taskmaster. No one heard of Crow.
Yeah.
No one even knew the Eternals were a thing. People might have heard of Celestials. They didn't even know who Crow was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to hear anything because it'll just be like, shut the hell up. Like, tell me, like, if you can tell me at least two massive character-defining moments in the comics for a character you're about to complain about, then you go ahead and complain. If you cannot, don't complain.
Yeah, and Eternals has always been that franchise that's out there for many reasons,
Yeah.
including what is happening and what is this. It's such high concept. So, I mean, I really cannot wait because this trailer did a lot to get me even more
Yeah,
hyped.
yeah.
And I think there is a lot of stuff that this is going to, build up and explain the MCU. Now, do we want to talk about here's the line. We understand all the memes. Her, they didn't interfere because of budget. Her, okay, yeah, let's address that.
People really said budget.
Yes,
Oh my
yes.
God.
They
Oh my
weren't
God.
there
Shut
because
up,
of
people.
yeah. So
It's like this is again. I can't be like I can't have a feeling about people saying that one way or another because it's coming from a place of ignorance. And if I didn't know who the Eternals and what their deal were, I would be saying the same thing.
yeah,
Like, can they be funny with it? Sure. If it's funny, go ahead and say it. Like, I don't care. If it's a funny meme against the MCU, cool. Like, I'm not going to sit here and cry about you making fun of anything.
yeah. I mean,
But like, it's what they do. It's what they done.
so do we want to talk about that here? Because they kind of hint towards it, being like, hey, this is why we couldn't do stuff.
Yeah. This is the bit that really got my attention because I'm not entirely sure what they're going for here.
Mm-hmm.
Because she says, what does Hayek or Ajak call it? The emergence.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that's like a celestial egg. Because we see something hit the planet.
Yeah.
Something hits the planet and seemingly destroys an island and creates a huge tidal wave. Which, okay, cool. Like if it's a celestial egg, I'm down for that. Like that wild out there thing that Marvel would never do in comics. Slightly different because the celestial eggs are usually already in the core. But
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, that's kind of interesting because even recently they had the whole, I can't remember which comic it was. There was like the Celestial frozen in the, what
that was the first arc of Jason Aaron's Avengers.
Yeah, yep. So
And they had like I can't think what they call it, the progenitor celestial.
yeah, I wonder if they're gonna do something of that sort.
Possibly.
You know?
I think because the Gaiman run did the sleeping celestial, and that big gold one was there from the start. So I wonder if because there's a lot of gold in this trailer, and
Yeah, there is.
gold's used everywhere. That's kind of crazy how much gold is used. Yeah, like the sleeping celestial was just like under San Francisco.
Yep.
And then he just like comes up and they do the thing. And it's just like, huh. So whether they're going to do that or if it's just like a hey, because she says about the energy from the Hulk snap and all the snaps kind of like brought this thing here.
Yeah. They should honestly just cut to San Francisco with a Celestial rising from like underneath the bay and just have cut to Ant-Man going, "Man, I ain't doing this," and just walks away. It's like, why is it happening in San Francisco now? Oh,
one thing I wish they'd done,
uh-huh.
and they didn't do it, and I was kind of surprised, is we didn't get a sense of scale.
No, we did not.
No. Like even the concept art with the Celestials, like you can see the cloud line like barely touching what would be their ankles, but you don't get a sense of scale there because you've got nothing to compare it against.
Yeah.
Like here, you just see the heads. You see the full body of what we assume is like Jeremiah, but you've got nothing to compare it against. And I assume that's going to be entirely on purpose. It's like they're holding that moment back.
Yeah,
for them.
Yeah, I would assume they want it to be like when we see them touch down, it's like, oh, that's what they're going up against. And also, it's a big factor in everything. Is like you don't reveal everything in all these trailers because what are you gonna say for the final thing? Which I assume, they're saving a lot with this one because there still seems to be a lot of vague aspects of this trailer, like a lot. So I'm not really sure how what angle they're taking with it, but clearly they're hiding a good amount of things that they want people to experience for the first time they're seeing the film.
Yeah, because we don't even know where they've been.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Eternals, I almost said Celestials then. Like, what have the Eternals been like? Did they actually go into space, or did some of them go into space and then come back eventually, or have they all just been chilling out here? Because we know Kingo, Cersei's definitely still been here.
Yep.
And I want to say it's Gilgamesh, but I don't think it is Gilgamesh. I think it's Phastos, who Richard Madden smashes his table at the end.
Yeah. That was great.
Which I only found out today Richard Madden was Scottish, which that was a surprise. I was like, whoa, that's a really good Scottish accent from this English actor. And it's like, oh no, he's actually Scottish. So fair enough.
Yeah, it's no, I like pretty much everything we got in here. I'm excited. Any closing thoughts on it before we wrap up our thoughts and breakdown, I guess?
I'm excited to see exactly where this movie goes.
Yeah.
My only issue is purely the Celestial. It's not even like what they're doing with them. It's just purely the look. I think it's for something that they said is going for Jack Kirby. Like, yes, you've used something that Kirby made. Well done. There's no Kirby crackle with them that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like that could still be coming in post production. I don't know. There's no Kirby crackle. There's no individuality to them yet that we've seen. Like they haven't. This movie could very well come out and be like, oh yeah, look, they're wildly different from each other, and it's obviously you can tell the difference.
Yeah.
As of right now, I can't. I can, but I can't.
Yeah. No, I will agree with. That's pretty much my only thing. I'm trusting they're 100% because they get to it in this trailer. They're gonna explain why they didn't interfere with Thanos or the rest of humanity the entire time because that's their thing. They're gonna touch upon that so we can finally stop, talking about that and all the aspects. Overall, I'm really satisfied with it. I'm glad this is the final trailer. Now they can start. They're committed to that November date now, so.
Yeah, but correct me if I don't know. I can't remember. Was the last one a trailer? I thought it was a teaser.
It was labeled like a teaser, I believe. So.
Because I haven't actually gone back and looked. Quite frankly,
the last one was released 2 months ago, and it's called Official Teaser. So this is, I guess, the first and final trailer.
Yeah, so I saw the final trailer. I was like, you didn't release a first trailer, Marvel. Where is it? Oh no, I'm excited for it. I just wish they had a few more Kirby elements in there. Because if the crackle's not in the movie, I'm gonna have a problem.
Well, I suppose we're going to know soon enough. The film's coming at us in November, so get excited, everybody. And as we get closer to it, as more spots and details and interviews and all that comes out, we'll talk about them guaranteed on the podcast. So we'll see you guys next time.